While we're getting set for another one, just a little 5-minute snapshot that you're going to get from one of our co-members, Sujata Rakra, Puranik Rakra, I should say the full name. She'll give you an idea of, we did a dipstick, sent out questionnaires, many of you may have filled out. So she's going to just share with you some couple of highlights, okay? While we get ready for, and we promise to feed you, literally, I'm saying lunch by 2, all right? Just be patient and we'll be there. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. I'm just going to take you through the highlights of a dipstick survey that we did. What we had done was that when we asked for registrations, we had also given a link to a survey, a very short survey which took about 3.5 minutes on average to complete. And what I'm going to show you now are the highlights of that survey. Can you put the next slide? Next slide? But how? Oh, right. So the sample size of this survey was 899. About 61% of the people were men and 39% were women. So this is pretty much in line with in our kind of industry knowledge in workers and people in Bangalore. This fits in with the kind of distribution. Maybe there's a slight preponderance of women, in fact. The figure would probably be more like 30%. Can you just give me the next slide? I'm sorry, I'm not able to change it from here. Yeah. So this is what the survey said. And I'm going to just, read out some of these things to you and explain some stuff. So contrary to what we first believed when we started planning this conclave, the awareness that there is a policy is very, very high. And I'm sure, like Maya was saying earlier, the media has contributed to making sure that people know that there is a policy. What is not so clear, however, is how do you actually make that policy work for you for prevention and redressal? That's really where, many of the discussions that we've been having today are trying to, build awareness. So while awareness of the policy is there, awareness of the provisions of the policy, what constitutes sexual harassment, is the ICC the first port of call if I have a problem? These are the kinds of things that people are not very clear about. So most respondents say that they are aware of the policy and the process, right? And in fact, there is even a perception that the companies in which they work, incidentally, this is a self-selection sample. That means only those people who wanted to participate have participated. So we have no control over the randomness of the sample. Just bear that in mind. So these are results of people who chose to do the survey, okay? And so these people all felt that overall, their companies actually did have zero tolerance. So most people perceived that there was not a lot of room for people to actually, forgive incidents of sexual harassment. Traveling is seen as marginally more risky. So sexual harassment, the risk of sexual harassment while traveling is seen as slightly higher than the risk of sexual harassment in the workplace itself, because people feel that there are many people watching in the workplace and you probably have a lower risk over there. Whereas if you're going on tour with somebody or you're flying with them and staying at hotels, that's where there is a slightly higher risk of sexual harassment. About 68% of our respondents claim to have attended a workshop on sexual harassment. That's a fairly large number, but it also does give us some room to make sure that everybody actually is educated about this in all the companies across the board. And in fact, BPAC would be able to run these workshops with our associates, various people who have come over here, would be able to take requests for this. Now, the interesting thing is about the ICC. The ICC, everybody has talked about this, is the gray area for everyone. So for example, only 55% of people say that they are aware of who the ICC is, because that's where they have to complain. But if they're not aware of who the ICC is, then how are they going to complain to the ICC? So only 55, this is where I think there is a lot of room for improvements to take place, that there is no awareness of who the ICC is, their names are not displayed prominently, and therefore even if I do want to speak up, I have to probably first start checking, and so I lose the momentum that I have to actually go out there and make a complaint. And in fact, the natural choice for complaints was not the ICC member, and it was either the immediate supervisor or the HR manager or an online process. But the truth of the matter is, Swarnima, correct me if I'm wrong, the first port of call for a complaint is a member of the ICC, and that's what everybody needs to understand. And companies would do well to actually publicize this fact. and publicize the names and contact details of the ICC so that these things could actually happen more efficiently. I want to go to the last slide, which is the action point slide. The last one. Action point. The last, yeah, this one. So as I was saying, there needs to be a proper understanding of the role of the ICC, and the names of the committee members need to be more prominently displayed. And while overall awareness is high, experts have indicated that specific areas of what constitutes harassment, and we've had a lot of education in that area today, are still not understood. And it may be worthwhile to constantly socialize the do's and don'ts of sexual harassment so that most incidents can be prevented. Because after all, ultimately the POSH is really about prevention as much as it is about redressal. Well, that's all I have to say really. Thank you very much.